Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I have to admit, I've been dreading this episode a little bit since I opened the research packet you sent over.
Dreading it. Why? It's usually the highlight of your week.
Usually, yes.
Huh.
But I started reading the source material, specifically this deep dive into the psychology of being low maintenance. And about, 3 pages in, I realized this entire episode is basically a personal attack on me.
Oh, no. It hit a little too close to home.
It hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's going to feel like a personal attack for a lot of our listeners, too. Because we are tackling a personality trait that, for the vast majority of us, feels like a badge of honor.
Right.
We polish it. We put it on our resume. We brag about it on first dates.
That's so true. In a world that feels incredibly high stress and demanding, we view being low maintenance as the supreme virtue. We think, I am the chill girl, or I am the easygoing guy.
Or I am the employee who requires zero management.
Exactly that. We are the path of least resistance.
Right. We think we are doing the world a favor by taking up as little space as possible, by being frictionless. But the stack of research we have today suggests that we are completely dangerously wrong about this.
We are. The central argument of the sources we're covering today is that being low maintenance isn't a virtue at all. It's a trap.
A trap.
It is a slow-motion car crash for your identity that ends up, ruining your career, hollowing out your relationships, and leaving you feeling completely invisible.
Ruining your life quietly. That is a terrifying concept. So before we spiral into an existential crisis here, lay out the map for us. What are we actually unpacking today?
Okay, so we're going to look at the anatomy of this identity, how easygoing eventually morphs into something the sources call formless.
Formless, okay.
We're going to talk about the mechanism of self-abandonment and why this is actually just a rebranding of people-pleasing. We'll look at the workplace, how being the yes man actually caps your career, and the resentment that rots relationships from the inside out.
And please tell me, we are going to talk about how to stop.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just diagnose myself and then, leave it there.
Absolutely. The whole back half is about that. We're going to talk about how to stop abandoning yourself without swinging the pendulum all the way to being a total nightmare.
Good. Because that's the fear, isn't it?
It is. We want to find that middle ground. The goal isn't to become high maintenance. It's to become, let's say, high self-respect.
Okay, I'm ready.
Welcome to Coffee Break. Thoughtful conversations for a busy world. Let's begin.
I want to paint a picture for everyone listening. I want you to imagine a scenario that I guarantee has happened to you in the last month, maybe even the last week.
Let's hear it.
You are with a group of friends. Maybe it's Friday night. Or maybe you're with a partner you've been seeing for a while. And the inevitable, dreaded question comes up. Where do you want to go for dinner?
The classic deadlock. The moment time stands still.
And you, being the gracious, wonderful, low-maintenance saint that you are, you say,
I don't care. Whatever you want is fine. I'm easy.
I'm easy, that phrase. It is the universal get-out-of-jail-free card for decision-making.
It is. And on the surface, it seems so nice, right? You're thinking, I'm prioritizing the group. I'm being flexible. I'm not making a fuss.
Right, you think, I am a gift to this group because I have no needs. I am frictionless.
Yeah.
I'm solving a problem by disappearing.
But let's look at what's actually happening under the surface. The source material defines this not as flexibility, but as a transactional view of relationships.
Transactional. That sounds so cool. I thought it was just being nice.
It feels nice on the surface, but it's subconsciously transactional. The internal monologue of the low-maintenance person, according to the research, usually goes something like this. If I ask for things, I am a burden. If I go with the flow, I am lovable.
Oof. If I ask for things, I'm a burden. That hits hard.
It's an equation you've internalized probably from a very young age. Silence equals love. Compliance equals safety. You believe that by minimizing your needs, by, in a way, paying rent with your compliance, you are purchasing your place in the tribe.
So it's not generosity, it's a security payment.
In many cases, yes. You feel like if you become inconvenient, if you have a difficult opinion or a need that conflicts with someone else's, the lease is up and everyone leaves.
That is dark, but I
Okay.
see it. It's this deep-seated fear that Your value is tied strictly to how easy you are to handle, how little trouble you cause.
Precisely, and the sources describe this as a slippery slope. It's so important to understand this progression. It starts as being flexible. Sure, Thai food is fine. I like Thai, which is, a good social skill. It's healthy.
Right, you need to be able to compromise to function in society.
Of course. But over years, if you do this constantly in every situation, it slides from being flexible into becoming formless.
Formless. That is such a weird, unsettling word to apply to a human being. Makes me think of water, or like a ghost.
Yeah.
You just take the shape of whatever container you're poured into.
That's a great analogy. It's exactly that. If you're with a loud, boisterous group, you become quiet and reserved to balance it out. If you're with a quiet, introverted group, suddenly you're the listener who draws them out.
If your partner loves hiking, suddenly you love hiking, even though you secretly hate bugs and sweating.
Exactly. You are constantly shape-shifting to minimize friction.
Yeah.
You become a chameleon, but you forget what your original color was.
But here is where it gets scary for me. The source material brings up this concept of identity erosion. Because I think most of us, myself included, assume we're just hiding our preferences.
Right?
Like, deep down, I really want Italian food, but I'll say Mexican to be nice. I still know I want Italian. It's still in there somewhere.
And in the beginning, that's true. You are consciously suppressing a preference. You're making a deliberate choice. But the research suggests that if you suppress that preference long enough, it doesn't just stay hidden in the basement. It dissolves.
Wait. So you actually stop knowing what you want. It's not just hiding. It's disappearing.
Yes. Think of it like a muscle. Let's call it your preference muscle.
Okay, my preference muscle.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I can visualize it. It's probably very small and weak.
Well, if you break your leg and it's in a cast for 6 months, what happens to the muscles in that leg?
They atrophy. They shrink. You have to go to physical therapy to learn how to walk again. It's painful and difficult.
Exactly. Now imagine you spend 10 years, maybe your entire 20s and 30s, never choosing the restaurant, never picking the movie, never voicing a strong opinion in a meeting because you want to be easy.
You're putting your preference muscle in a cast.
For a decade. That muscle withers away. The neural pathways in your brain for this is what I want, this is my desire, they actually weaken from lack of use.
So eventually, when someone asks, what do you want? And you say, I don't know, you aren't lying. You're not being coy.
You genuinely do not know. The signal is gone. You have become a mirror. You reflect everyone else's desires back at them so perfectly that you've forgotten you're supposed to be a painting.
Wow. A mirror, not a painting.
And while mirrors are useful, they don't have a self. They have no identity of their own.
And that explains why it feels so panic-inducing when someone actually forces you to choose. I've felt this. If someone says, no, really, you pick, I freeze. My brain just goes to static. It feels like I'm being put on trial and I don't know the right answer.
That's the atrophy in action.
Yeah.
Your brain is scrambling for data that isn't there. What you're doing in that moment isn't looking inward. You're scanning the other person's face. You're reading their body language. You're trying to guess what they want you to pick.
So I can give them the right answer and relieve the tension.
Exactly. You're trying to solve their problem, not answer your own question.
It's tragic, really.
Yeah.
Because nobody falls in love with a mirror. They might like choking their hair in it, but they aren't connecting with the glass.
And deep down, the low-maintenance person knows this. This is the source of that hollow feeling. They think, I am everyone's best friend, but nobody truly knows me. Well, of course they don't know you. You haven't introduced them to you yet. You've only introduced them to the service you provide, the service of being convenient.
Man, okay. You haven't introduced them to you. That is a mic drop moment already. But I want to dig into the mechanics of this. Because nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I think I'll erase my personality today. This is a defense mechanism, right? It comes from somewhere.
It absolutely is. And in Section 2, the source material makes a pretty bold claim. It says that low maintenance is basically just a rebranding of people-pleasing.
Rebranding, like a marketing spin. New look, same anxiety.
Exactly. People-pleasing sounds desperate. It sounds weak. If I call you a people-pleaser, you probably feel a bit insulted, a bit seen in a way you don't like.
For sure. It has a negative connotation.
But low maintenance. That sounds cool. That sounds stoic. It's the cool girl trope from literature and movies.
Oh, right. The girl who loves beer and football and never gets mad and never asks where you were all night and looks amazing in a baseball cap.
Right. She is effortlessly accommodating. But the engine driving both people-pleasing and low maintenance is the exact same thing. Fear.
Fear of what, specifically?
Yeah.
It feels like a whole constellation of fears.
It is. It's the fear of abandonment, the fear of conflict, the fear of rejection, the fear of being disliked. The underlying belief is that if you are difficult, and by difficult, we often just mean having a conflicting desire, people will leave you.
Or they'll be angry with you, which can feel just as bad as being left.
Yes. So the strategy is to preemptively remove any and all possible points of friction.
It's like you're trying to sand down all your own edges so you never snag on anyone else. But that requires a massive amount of work.
That's the great irony. It is incredibly high maintenance to be low maintenance.
Explain that. Because it looks lazy from the outside. It looks like you're just floating along.
It looks passive, but inside, the engine is redlining. Think about the mental load. You walk into a room for a meeting. You are constantly scanning. Is Mike in a bad mood? His email was short. Is Sarah stressed about the deadline? If I suggest this new idea, will Mike be annoyed because it creates more work for him? Okay, I'll keep the idea to myself. Does Sarah look cold? I should ask if we can turn up the heat. But then Mike might get hot, and then he'll be even more annoyed.
Oh my God, I'm exhausted just listening to that inner monologue. It's a full-time job.
You are running a complex social algorithm in your head 24/7 to predict and prevent other people's discomfort. That is an immense amount of emotional labor. But you hide the labor. That's the cool facade. You make it look effortless.
And what's the cost of running that algorithm all the time? What does it do to you?
Well, the sources were really interesting on the biology of this. They said you can't just turn off one part of your emotional dashboard. You can't be selective.
Right, you can't.
No. The nervous system doesn't work that way. Imagine a mixing board in a recording studio. You have all these faders for different instruments and vocals. Anger, sadness, frustration, neediness.
Okay.
You might think you can just pull down the fader for frustration to 0, but you don't have individual mute buttons for those that leave everything else on. It's more like a master fader.
A master fader?
No.
So if I bring down the volume on my frustration so I don't bother anyone.
You bring down the volume on everything. You cannot selectively numb emotions. If you numb your ability to feel frustration or anger or what you perceive as neediness, you are also, by default, numbing your ability to feel joy, passion, excitement, and deep connection.
So you flatten out your entire life experience just to avoid being difficult. You're basically choosing to live in grayscale.
You end up living in beige. You end up in this gray zone where nothing hurts too much, but nothing feels that good either. You're just coping. You're existing, not living.
And that leads directly to this feeling of being unseen, right?
Yeah.
This is the paradox that really stuck with me from the reading. You minimize yourself to be liked, but the result is profound loneliness.
It is the great tragedy of this personality type. It's a strategy that backfires spectacularly over the long term. You think, if I show them who I really am, my messy, needy, opinionated self, they might reject me. So I will show them this polished, easy version.
And people do like that version. It's very convenient for them. It makes their lives easier.
Of course they do. But it's not you.
It's a representative, a placeholder.
Exactly. So you're getting all this external validation, you're getting approval, but it doesn't nourish you. It feels like junk food. Because deep down, you know they're loving a mask. They are loving a performance.
And that just reinforces the loneliness. You could be in a room full of people who think you're great and feel completely and utterly invisible because you know that if you drop the act, you're not sure if a single one of them would stay.
That is the aha moment right there. You can't feel loved for who you are if you never show who you are. It's mathematically impossible.
It is, yeah.
Connection requires two surfaces to touch. If one surface is constantly retreating or covered in cellophane, you can't connect. There's no texture. There's no grip.
Well, this is getting deep fast, but I want to ground this because this shows up in very specific, very painful ways in our daily lives. It's not just abstract philosophy. Let's talk about the workplace. Section 3.
The workplace is a breeding ground for this behavior. I mean, it's where low maintenance is often explicitly rewarded, at least on the surface.
Right. Corporate culture loves a yes man or a yes woman.
Let's create a persona here. It makes it easier to talk about. Let's call him Alex.
Okay, Alex. I think I know Alex.
We all know Alex. Alex is the employee who always says yes. Boss needs someone to stay late on a Friday. Alex is there. A new project with a totally crazy deadline gets dropped on the team. Alex takes the lead. The printer is broken and no one wants to deal with it. Alex spends an hour fixing it.
He never pushes back on timelines. He never asks for more budget or more help.
Never. And in the short term, Alex is viewed as a star. He's a team player. Management loves him because he solves problems without creating noise. He just absorbs pressure.
He is frictionless.
Yeah.
A manager's dream.
Exactly, he is. But the sources are very clear that this is a career trap. Long term, this goes south for Alex.
Yeah, I would think the guy doing all the extra work gets the promotion. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Hard work pays off.
In an ideal world, maybe. But in the real corporate world, there's a massive difference between being a doormat and being a leader.
Break that down for me.
To be a leader, to be a director or a VP, you need to have a strong viewpoint. You need to demonstrate strategic judgment. You are expected to say, no, we shouldn't do that project because it's a waste of resources and it distracts from our core goals.
Or, yes, we can do this project, but we need to hire 2 more people and push the deadline by a month if we want it done right.
Precisely. You need to protect the company's assets, which include time, money, and people's well-being. If Alex just says yes to everything, he's demonstrating that he has no judgment. He's an executor, not a strategist. He's a great pair of hands, but he lacks a strategic head.
He has no presence.
He has no strong voice. So when the promotion to a leadership role comes up, they look at Alex and they think, he's a great soldier. He's the best person on the team for getting things done. But he's not a general.
That is so counterintuitive. We think saying yes makes us valuable, but it actually might cap our career because we look like we have no backbone, no vision of our own.
You become indispensable in your current role, which is the fastest way to get stuck there. And the second, more immediate reason this fails is the burnout trap.
Oh, the burnout. Because if you're low maintenance, you don't have boundaries. And if you don't have boundaries, you have, well, you have no stopping point.
Right. And here is a hard truth about human nature, and particularly about bosses who are under pressure. People will take as much as you are willing to give them. They aren't trying to be evil villains. They just follow the path of least resistance. They have a problem. You are the easiest solution.
If the faucet is on, they'll just keep filling the bucket until it overflows. They're not going to turn it off for you.
Exactly. If they hand Alex a pile of work and he smiles and says, sure, they assume he has the capacity to do it. They assume he's fine. They move on to their next problem.
They aren't mind readers. They don't know he's skipping lunch every day and staying online until 9 p.m. and missing his kid's soccer game.
No, because he's hiding the cost. He's making it look easy. He's performing competence and ease. And meanwhile, Alex is just seething. This is the silent killer of the low-maintenance personality. Resentment.
The silent resentment. It's like a poison.
Alex is waiting for someone to notice his sacrifice. He's putting in all this extra effort and thinking, surely they see how hard I'm working. Surely they'll reward me. I shouldn't have to ask for a raise or a promotion. They should just give it to me.
But the world doesn't work that way. People are busy with their own lives.
No. And because you made it look effortless, they value it less. This is a key insight from the research. If you make it look easy, people assume it was easy. So why would they pay you extra or promote you for something that didn't seem to cost you anything?
Wow. You made it look easy, so they don't value the cost.
Yeah.
That is a massive lesson right there. That applies to everything, not just work.
And then what happens? Alex quits suddenly for a tiny raise somewhere else, or he blows up in a meeting over something tiny, like a stapler, and everyone is shocked. Where did that come from? He was always so chill.
But he wasn't chill. He was just boiling under a lid for 5 years.
Exactly. The pressure cooker finally exploded.
Let's pivot to where this hurts maybe even more deeply. Relationships, section 4. Because if you're doing this at work from 9 to 5, you're probably doing it at home from 5 to 9.
It's rarely compartmentalized. If your primary coping mechanism is to fawn and accommodate, you do it with your partner too. It's your default setting.
So this is the partner who lets the other person choose the movie, the restaurant, the vacation spot, the color of the couch, everything. They are the designated peacekeeper.
They avoid conflict at all costs. They view a fight or even just a disagreement as a fundamental failure of the relationship. Their internal script is, if we are arguing, we are broken.
But isn't fighting bad? I mean, nobody wants a toxic relationship full of screaming and yelling.
Of course not. And there is a huge difference between destructive conflict, name-calling, contempt, and constructive friction.
Constructive friction.
True intimacy requires friction. It's a prerequisite.
Say more about that. Friction sounds like something you want to avoid, like chafing.
Friction is proof that two different objects are touching. You are a distinct human being with a history, a nervous system, preferences, and desires. Your partner is a distinct human being with their own set of all those things. If you smash those two lives together, there will be sparks. There will be clashes of opinion and desire.
And if there are no sparks? if it's perfectly smooth all the time?
Then one person isn't there. If you and I are in a relationship and we agree on absolutely everything all the time, one of us is unnecessary.
One of us is unnecessary. That is brutal.
It means the low-maintenance partner has abdicated their role in the partnership. They've checked out, the relationship becomes lopsided, one person is the driver, making all the decisions, and the other person is just the passenger.
And initially, being the passenger feels nice. It feels easy. You don't have to steer. You don't have to watch the road. You can just look out the window.
But eventually, two things happen. One, the passenger gets sick of where the car is going, but feels they have no right to complain. Or two, and this is what we often forget, the driver gets exhausted.
Right.
It is actually very tiring and lonely to be with a low-maintenance person long term.
Wait, really? I thought the whole point was that it was easy for the other person. That's the gift you're giving them.
It's easy in the beginning. It's a relief. But eventually, the other partner feels the immense weight of having to make every single decision. Where do we eat? What are we doing this weekend? How should we spend our tax refund? Which school should the kids go to? It's a constant burden of decision fatigue.
They feel like they're dragging dead weight. They have to generate all the energy for the relationship.
They want a partner, not a dependent. They want someone to push back and say, no, I hate that movie, let's watch this instead. Or, I actually think we should save the money instead of going on vacation. That's engagement. That's heat. Passivity isn't sexy.
That makes so much sense. And then there's the ledger of resentment you mentioned earlier. I feel like everyone has a mental version of this, but for the low-maintenance person, it's huge.
The ledger, it's a massive, detailed document. The low-maintenance partner doesn't speak up in the moment. I didn't really want Italian food. They eat it, they smile, they say it was delicious, but they write it down in the mental ledger, a little tick mark. I did this for you.
I sacrificed for you.
I watched your stupid action movie. Tick. I went to your mother's house for 4 hours, even though she criticizes me. Pick. And this ledger grows and grows, page after page, for years. And the other partner has no idea it even exists. They think everything is fine because you said everything is fine.
That's the everything is fine lie. It's the most common and most destructive lie in relationships.
And then one day the ledger is full and you cash it in. And it's almost always an explosion over something ridiculously small. The partner leaves a sock on the floor and the low-maintenance person just screams, I do everything for you and you don't care about me.
And the partner is just standing there, completely bewildered, like, whoa, it's just a sock. Why are you yelling? What is happening?
But it's not about the sock. It's about 10 years of Italian food you didn't want to eat. It's 10 years of unvoiced needs and unheard desires.
It just rots relationships from the inside out. It's a cancer.
It does. And it denies your partner the chance to actually know you and love you. Maybe they would have wanted to see the movie you liked. Maybe they would have been happy to leave his mother's early. But you didn't give them the chance because you were too busy performing low maintenance.
Okay, we have painted a pretty bleak, pretty confusing picture here. We've established that being low maintenance is a trap. It hurts our careers, and it absolutely sabotages our relationships.
Yeah.
So how do we stop? Because this feels deeply ingrained for a lot of people, myself included. This isn't a light switch.
It is deeply ingrained, and it's not a switch, it's a practice. We have to start by reframing the entire concept of needs.
Section 5. Reframing needs and boundaries. I think the core fear here, the belief we have to dismantle is, if I have needs, I am being difficult.
That is the script. That is the line of code that is running the whole broken program. And we need to flip it. The source material has a great line on this. Having boundaries and needs doesn't make you difficult. It makes you human.
I love the analogy we talked about earlier in prep for this.
Yeah.
The car analogy. I think that makes it so clear.
Yes. Think about a car. If you have a car that requires gasoline, oil changes, tire rotations, and brake fluid, do you call that a high-maintenance car?
No, that's just a car. That's how cars work. It's the owner's manual.
Yeah.
If you don't put gas in it, it stops moving. That's on you, not the car.
Exactly. That is standard maintenance. Now, if you have a vintage car that breaks down every 5 miles and needs imported parts from Italy that cost $5,000 and can only be fixed by one specific mechanic in Switzerland, that is high maintenance.
Right. That's a diva car. A beautiful but unreasonable car.
But the low-maintenance person is trying to be a car that runs on no gas and no oil. And what do you call a car with no gas and no oil?
Broken. You call it scrap metal. That's on the side of the road.
You call it broken. Humans have maintenance requirements. We need rest. We need respect. We need to be heard. We need autonomy. We need food we actually like. These are not extra features. These are not luxury add-ons. These are standard operating specs for a human being.
I think people get scared because they swing to the extreme. They think, okay, I'm not going to be a doormat anymore, so now I have to become a tyrant. There's no in-between.
That's black and white thinking, which is a hallmark of this mindset. There is a massive, beautiful, healthy country between the land of doormat and the land of diva. We are aiming for that middle ground. We are aiming for high self-respect.
I also really like that the source warns us against using too much therapy speak when we try to make this change. Because I think we've all seen that happen on social media or with a friend who's just started therapy.
Oh, absolutely. This is a very modern problem. We learn these important terms like codependency or trauma response, and they're useful for understanding, but we can sometimes start weaponizing them or using them as shields.
Right. I am holding space for my boundaries regarding your failure to take out the dishwasher. It sounds so clinical.
It feels clinical. It feels aggressive. And honestly, it often pushes people away because it feels like you're reading from a script instead of having a real conversation. The source suggests we drop the buzzwords when we communicate.
So what do we say instead? How do we translate it into plain language?
Instead of saying to yourself, I am healing my codependency, just admit I've been borrowing someone else's life because I'm afraid to live mine.
Wow. Okay. That is so much more visceral and honest.
Instead of saying, that's my trauma response, you could just call it what it is. That's my habitual hiding. When you use plain, simple language, you can't hide behind the jargon. You have to face the behavior itself.
So let's get really practical.
Yeah.
Section 6. How do we start habitual living instead of habitual hiding? Because if I go home tonight and suddenly start demanding Italian food and airing every grievance from the last 10 years, my family is going to be very, very confused.
And rightfully so. You can't change the terms of the contract overnight without warning. That's jarring for everyone. The source is very clear. You have to start with small boundaries, low stakes.
Low stakes. Okay, give me an example. What's a low stakes boundary?
The opinion practice. This is actionable step number 1. The next time someone asks you a low-stakes question like, what do you want for dinner? Or which movie should we watch on Netflix? Oh, you are not allowed to say, I don't care.
Even if I genuinely, truly feel like I don't care.
Especially then. Force your brain to find a preference, even if it's a tiny one. I think I'd slightly prefer tacos over pizza. I'm leaning about 51% toward the comedy instead of the drama. You have to train your brain to check in with the self again.
You're rehabbing that atrophied muscle. You're doing the physical therapy.
Exactly. You are teaching yourself that your opinion exists and, critically, that the world won't end if you state it. Do it with a barista about what kind of milk you want. Do it with a friend about where to meet for coffee. Small, tiny reps.
I like that. It's training wheels for having a personality.
Yeah.
What's step 2?
Step 2 is the pause. This is for the chronic yes people. When someone asks you for a favor, can you help me move this weekend? Can you join this new committee at work? Do not auto-reply, yes.
That auto-reply is so fast, it's like a reflex. It happens before I even think.
It is. It's a conditioned response. So you have to install a verbal speed bump. Your new default phrase is, let me check my schedule and get back to you.
Let me check my schedule.
Yeah.
Even if my schedule is a barren wasteland of emptiness.
Even if you are doing absolutely nothing but staring at the wall, that's your business. You are buying yourself time. You are creating a gap between the request and your response. And in that gap, you can check in with your gut. Do I actually want to do this? Do I have the energy? Or was I just going to say yes to avoid the momentary awkwardness of saying no?
That buffer is genius. It takes the social pressure off the immediate moment. You can make the decision in private.
It creates a space where your own agency can live and breathe.
Now, we have to warn the listeners about the pushback.
Yeah.
Because the source material is very honest about this. If you stop being the easy breezy, do whatever person, people in your life might get annoyed.
They will get annoyed, and you need to be ready for that emotionally. Imagine you are a vending machine.
Okay, I'm a vending machine. What do I sell?
For 10 years, you have dispensed free soda to everyone who walked by. Anyone could push a button, and out came a Coke, free of charge.
Everyone loved that vending machine. It's the most popular machine in the building.
Of course they do. But suddenly, today, you put a sign up that says soda, $1.
They're going to be mad. They're going to be confused.
They're going to kick the machine. They're going to shake it. They're going to say, hey, this used to be free. You've changed. You're broken. This is unfair.
And your instinct, as the vending machine, will be to crumble and say, oh, I'm sorry, never mind, here's a free soda, just to make them stop kicking.
But you have to hold the line. This friction is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are growing. It's a sign that you're starting to value what you dispense.
Friction is a sign of growth. That's a huge reframe.
It's a sign that you are taking up space in the world. And when you expand, you bump into things. That's just physics.
That is such a helpful way to think about it, because normally we interpret that annoyance from other people as, see, I knew it, I'm unlovable when I have needs, but really it's just, oh, the dynamic is shifting and the other person is reacting to the shift.
Correct. And the people who truly love you, the people who want you, not just your compliance, they will adjust. They might be surprised at first, maybe a little grumpy, but they will eventually respect you more for it because they are finally meeting the real person.
And the ones who don't adjust, the ones who only liked you when you were a free vending machine.
Wow. That's meaningful dates, isn't it?
Ooh, mic drop. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know.
If someone only likes you when you have no needs, they don't like you. They like using you. And that's a hard truth, but a necessary one to face.
That leads us perfectly to the outro. We've gone on quite a journey here. From the cool girl trap to the mechanics of self-erasure, all the way to the practical steps of reclaiming your voice with low-stakes opinions.
It really is a journey from being low maintenance to being high self-respect. It's about deciding that you are worth maintaining.
I think the biggest takeaway for me, the thing that's going to stick with me, is that my needs are not a flaw in my design.
No, they are the blueprint. Your preferences, your dislikes, your boundaries, that is the map of who you are. If you throw away the map because you're afraid it'll inconvenience someone else, you're just lost.
And nobody can find you if you're lost. You can't connect with someone who doesn't know where they are.
Exactly.
So, as we sign off, we want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. We touched on it a moment ago, but I want you to really sit with this question this week.
It's a provocative one, and it requires some real honesty. Ask yourself, who benefits the most from me being low maintenance?
Is it you? Are you genuinely happier, healthier, and more fulfilled because of it?
Or is it everyone else who finds it incredibly convenient that you never ask for anything, never have a conflicting opinion, and never take up any space?
If the answer is everyone else, it might be time to start being a little bit difficult.
Be a little difficult. Be a little human.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time. Come on.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Coffee Break. If this conversation stayed with you, you can find more episodes here on the channel. Until next time, take care.